Welcome to the Cherry Picker, the horror movie podcast where we like to kill people, but not really. I'm your host, Zack Cherry. With me as always is...
I'm allowed to like gay things. Eddie of Edward is Truth.
And today we're talking about Better Watch Out, which was released September 22nd, 2016 at Fantastic Fest, and then theatrically a year later. This is our Christmas movie for 2024. Yeah. Well, Better Watch Out is, you better watch out, you better not cry, you better not...
That's what people want the sequels to be. They want it to be a trilogy called Better Watch Out, Better Not Cry, Better Not Pout.
Is there a sequel coming?
Okay, let me, hold on. I got a screenshot of something that I should have had queued up here. It's okay, because Chris Peckover is the director, correct? And someone tweeted a while ago, just watched Better Watch Out and loved it, but since it doesn't seem like there's going to be a sequel, could you say what you think happened after the mid-credits scene? He says, in response to that, this was about a couple years ago in 2022, in honor of Better Watch Out coming out 5 years ago, and this being my most frequent question, I do have a sequel in mind, and it takes place many years later. Ashley ain't going down that easy, is the way he put it. Okay. So he's still on board. I'd be curious to know...
what
where
that is,
where it could go years later. I mean, I have a rough idea. We can talk more about that as we.
I mean, it seems like if there was going to be a sequel, it would have been like John Carpenter's Halloween to Halloween 2 situation of just more of the like night that you better watch out.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's like, how do you do that? And I feel like the thing is, like, would it work? Because this, the actor who plays Luke is like
he's in his 20s now.
8 years older, so I think he's 22 now. That there's just it wouldn't have the same. I was gonna say charm, but does it like affect? Maybe.
I mean, the fact that he has an idea. Yeah. The filmmaker makes it intrigues me, and immediately I thought, like, well, too late to do anything now, and the fact that he has an idea makes me think, well, okay, I'll bite. I would see it. So yeah.
I mean, I won't lie. Like, I'll see a continuation of this as well, but I feel like maybe it would be better in this scenario where it takes place years later, because I can only imagine. A direct follow-up of just like the same night would just feel very redundant. Like it would probably feel very much like what I correlate this movie to is the Jill Roberts at the end of Scream 4, and just sort of like it would be the hospital scene.
Only a feature-length version of that.
or like the Black Christmas 2006 remake. Which I won't say much about because we will be chatting about that sort of next week. But it's like what could you do? So maybe some time and distance would be the best thing if there was to be a sequel. I mean, I like this just fine as a standalone. I don't need any continuation. I think that the mid-credits is enough of a sort of like punctuation and question mark of like what could be, and it's like it just kind of satisfies the audience enough. But that's just me.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I if they would have had the opportunity and seized it, I wouldn't have been upset about that either, but I would have been interesting, like, okay, where are the possibilities going to be explored? But that boat has sailed, so no point, crying over spilt milk, if that's the phrase I'm reaching
Spilled
for.
Milk. Yeah. We don't know. We just throw out all the
words,
metaphors, and analogies.
Yeah,
the cliches.
That's us.
Yeah,
we're the cliche picker.
That's the French version. Is cliche a French word? The stupidest
I don't
question
even
I've
know.
ever asked.
It sounds like it should be like touche is, so cliche maybe. I don't know. But is souffle? I don't think so. But they're
souffle
spelled.
sounds very French.
Is it French? Okay, then it's spelled different than the other ones though, or maybe we bastardized the spelling with our English.
We
with
yeah.
the King's English. Yeah, we.
So I forget what grade this was or whatever, but I was trying out like new schools. Like my mom was like, "Oh, I might send you to this school," so like just had me kind of go to this new learning facility for a day back. It was probably like grade 8 or no, like maybe 7. I don't remember. But it would have been a point where they still taught French because like in Canada, like we don't have Spanish, we have French. And I just, anytime there was French class, I never fucking like would pay attention. Like the counselors in Friday the 13th, I just didn't pay attention, and I just refused to learn it. So I like failed French every year.
Oh my God.
But it was like embarrassing because like I didn't know any French, and it was like this mandatory thing that you had to do, and I was sort of like kind of got away with it in the school that I was at because they just sort of like knew, yeah, he's not gonna learn French. But we went to this new place, and I'm just sort of like sitting there, and like my whole thing is like they knew I was just there observing, and the teacher like asked me a question suddenly, and I was like, I don't know what to do, and so I just like I would only say oui or no, but if I said no, I would like kind of put like a French no like accent on it, and but like because I didn't understand what was being asked, so I was just like oui, and he's like, well, do you want to like elaborate on that more? And I was just like no. And then they're like, do you know French? I was just like no. But it was I remember this because it was a moment of great embarrassment that I've obviously held on to in adulthood. But I don't know why we're talking about French. It's cool.
Well, I mean, it's a memory from your youth, and this movie is all about that particular time in your life.
How old is
when
this
you're young?
He's probably like
he's 12. He's 12, going on 13 in the movie, is what they said.
Yeah, I guess that would.
He's going to be 13 in like less than a month or something like that.
Yeah, that would have been the around the time. I was probably like 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. He's going to be 13 in a month. That means that he's a Capricorn.
Capricorn, I guess.
Or Aquarius. As Buffy would say, Capricorn on the cusp of Aquarius.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
That's who he is. I don't think that would explain half of what we go through with him, but do we want to do house cleaning or anything before we dive in?
Let's clean house a little bit.
Okay.
Hey, welcome to the Cherry Picker again. If you are new to the podcast, or if you've been listening and watching for a while and have been enjoying our bullshit, then please head over to my Patreon page to support. That is patreon.com/ZackCherry, ZackCherry. And with that, you can receive early access to all of our episodes if you're supporting at any tier. If you're supporting at the Freddy Krueger tier, you will get access to the Cherry Picker After Dark, which is a monthly bonus episode that we run. And it just so happens that next week is that episode, and we will be doing a Black Christmas remake something or other.
Standoff?
Yeah, like comparing the two, because they're just so fascinating because they're so many years apart from them, and they're two very different kind of remakes, and there's a lot to say about them, even though there might be not a lot to garner from them. as movies themselves, at least compared to the original, we still have a lot to say about them, and we're looking forward to discuss that with that subscriptionship on my Patreon. You will also get access to all of our back catalog of Cherry Picker After Dark episodes, and there are many. So if you've been feeling that you haven't heard enough of us and want like hours and hours and hours of more content, check it out. We talk about more than just horror, and I think that you'll really enjoy it. But I do want to thank some Patreon supporters. So the top tiers, I got the Michael Myers supporters. So thank you to Kyle Beard, Maxime Rivest, Ali Hamouche, Shane Allingham, Tim McKay, Stephanie Starbright, Horror Slut 95, Bruce the Genetic Jackhammer Rando, Josh Carr, Michael Boswell, and then Ghostface supporters. Thank you to Eric Champney, Sam Levy, Daniel Saturn, Baby Ghoul, Garrison Nichols, and Craig Lynn. So thank you very much to all of you all, and anyone supporting, thank you. And also huge thank you to Jason Voorhees Gallotello, who is our editor of the podcast. He was on with us last week when we talked about Friday the 13th, Part 5. And just really appreciate the guy for everything he does for us. So thank you. Now, you got a premise for Better Watch Out?
I do.
Excellent.
On a quiet suburban street at Christmas time, a babysitter must defend a 12-year-old boy from intruders. Only once she discovers this is far from a typical home invasion, it becomes abundantly clear that until the parents come home, she'd better watch out.
You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Every single movie could just be the next line in the song. He could make 23 movies in this series.
What are some other, I guess, jingles that could be incorporated into, like, not even just the title of the song, but like a phrase within it? Because that's Better Watch Out is Santa Claus is coming to town, right? It's not called Better Watch Out.
Dashing through the snow.
Oh, yeah. Dashing through the snow.
Or it could be an ironic use of
sleigh, but it's spelled like
One Horse Open Sleigh. Why hasn't that movie been made yet? And I was just gonna say you could do an ironic use of like laughing all the way. It could be a horror comedy.
Yeah, laughing all the way.
Or bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing. Yeah, okay, so abandoning Jingle Bell. Silent Night, Holy Night, all is calm, all is bright. Round yon virgin. I'm at a loss.
Now we're like getting into like other territories with that.
Could do like a racially charged. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. With a lot of complaints.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's not me. Jonathan Larson put it in Rent as a lyric, and it's a bunch of cops singing it, and it's like, oh, okay. So I just thought of that.
No,
anyway.
no, that's
it's not me. I didn't think of it.
Whatever. We could
just remembered it.
So I feel like there's not enough Hanukkah horror. Like there's plenty of Christmas, but just like what and what would that be? Like what Hanukkah? Because there's like dreidel.
Hey, oh dreidel I will play when it's dry and ready. Oh dreidel I will play. Are there any other lyrics to that song?
Well, if you ever saw the South Park special where they're all like sort of like singing in harmony, and Kyle's doing like the dreidel, and then Cartman comes in and his lyric is just like, Jews, they play such stupid games, Jews. Something lame, and then Kyle's dad comes in and he just starts singing, Courtney Cox, I love you, you're so hot on that show.
What? Oh my god. So Courtney Cox, I love you. It could be like the next Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, just star Courtney Cox and have somebody like stalking her or something. Yeah.
That's just the premise for Scream 7.
Right. So it's just like Scream 7, Courtney Cox, I love
Well,
you.
they were talking about making Scream 7 a Christmas themed movie. I guess that's not happening.
Really?
Thank God too. But for a while there, it was like the idea, at least because they had Chris Landon, director of Happy Death Day, was attached to it, and it was going to be like a Christmas theme, and the whole thing seemed a little hokey. And then like he exited, and then I guess they just completely rehauled it, and now it's like going to be a Nev Campbell thing. But yeah, it was gonna, there's always this thing, like people have this fascination with like Christmas horror where they'll like any franchise, they'll be like, well, it should be like, if they had it their way, like Halloween would be a Christmas horror. They're like, well, maybe it snows early that year or something, but there's just this fascination that people have with like seeing blood on the snow, and it's like, it's not that deep. It's
well, I mean, the earlier ones who crossed those traversed those miles. See here, reaching for words. Yeah. No, but like I was just talking to my mom. I showed her the original Black Christmas for the first time, and she liked everything until the ending. But it made me think while we were watching it about Silent Night, Deadly Night, the OG, and just like all those nutcrackers sitting there going, ah. Like it looked like they were screaming watching one of the murders happen in the movie, and I've always liked that. Now when I look at nutcrackers, that's what I think of. So in some ways, I feel like the darkness is already there. These Christmas horror movies just kind of like unpack it. How many of them really utilize it, and how many of them just set it at Christmas? I think that's up for debate.
Because 100%. I was just gonna say, like, this feels like it could just be a regular babysitting movie. It didn't have to be set at Christmas.
I thought that about 3/4 of the way through, thinking like, okay, there are some things like the way she gets, bound with like Christmas lights and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, but at the same time, yeah, it could have been anything. It really, it doesn't make me think about, ironic use of Christmas or anything like that. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think
I'm not complaining. I thought it was a good movie.
I'm going to complain a little because like now that we're talking about it, like I think that there's not really enough that's like iconic here in terms of like Christmas that is, or even iconic and ironic of the use of Christmas that it's sort of like why it's almost like a distraction. And that's exactly why I was kind of trepidatious when I heard that rumor that Scream 7 was going to be set at Christmas, because it's just like it's irrelevant. It's like setting it in New York if you're not going to do anything with New York.
Or at Halloween.
Exactly.
In New York on Halloween.
New York, Halloween, and college. Like none of those things are really relevant in that movie, and yet they're all sort of implied to be part of it. So yeah, this is a Christmas movie, like in spite of itself. But the thing is, it's just like, it's very much like, it's almost like the Rob Zombie level of like Halloween, of just like, look at all the jack-o'-lanterns here. Like, what was that? Is it Honest Trailers or no, Cinema Sins, where it's just like a sin for every time a jack-o'-lantern shows up in Rob Zombie's Halloween. Where it's just sort of set dressing at this point, where it's just like the Christmas movies where it like almost like how people consider Die Hard, to be a Christmas movie, and I would too. But just switching to another holiday, like how when we watched Raising Cain, we decided, oh, this is a Valentine's movie, in spite of the fact that the working title was Father's Day at one point. But like it happens on Valentine's Day, so it's just like, oh, this is a Valentine's Day movie. Like it doesn't feel forced either. It's just it happens to be there. This one feels a little forced with the Christmassy stuff.
I do have to say, like, this was my first time seeing it, just watching it today for the pod, and so I'd never seen this movie before, and I was watching the opening. And that was the only kind of ironic use of Christmas for me. It was just kind of like the opening credits. And it actually made me think about another one, Krampus, because with Krampus, it's all of that Black Friday, like dash over each other, like lovely holiday sentiment song played against like, brutality of humanity, pitting, one tribe against another kind of thing. And with this, I felt like it was a little bit more tongue-in-cheek. It was a little bit more playful. I couldn't even tell you like what the imagery was. I just remember kind of going like, oh, okay, they're kind of making fun of like, the sentimentality of the time of year and how some people are dialed into it, some people aren't. But ultimately, this movie's kind of suggesting that everyone's going to pay a price. And I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. And I think, you know what? The reason why I don't hold it against this movie is because I didn't see the turn coming. Like when it becomes clear after about a half hour into the runtime what's really happening, I didn't see that coming. So when it unearthed before us, all of a sudden that hooked me in. It was so interesting and it was such a left turn. And then I felt like there were kind of numerous left turns that happened after that. Like they were really exploring the possibilities with the script of like the scenarios you can find yourself in, that it kind of, I didn't really need Christmas anymore, because the immediate, kind of like if this were to happen in real life at Christmas time, the immediacy, the threat to your safety, your instinct for survival clicking in, like all of those things were so much more interesting than any kind of Christmas motif I could ride. And maybe I'm just, what's the word, like an apologist for for this movie's use of Christmas at this point. But no, it didn't really bother me. It just occurred to me while I was watching. I was just like, oh yeah, something Christmas hasn't happened in a minute, but what's been happening has been really compelling. So I mean, I thought it was going to be one thing that I was like, okay, this is done pretty well, even to the acting. Like I was watching, I don't know, with Olivia de Jong, is that the actress's name, who plays Ashley? Olivia de Jong. And I was watching her in the beginning, and it almost felt kind of hack the writing. Just kind of like he's got a crush on her. Oh, she knows it, and she thinks he's so sweet that she's gonna like tap his nose and chuck him under the chin, but also like okay, hand off my leg. It all just felt kind of like, I don't know, pattery. And I was like, okay, but
I
we'll see if
I
she
didn't
brings
really get
it.
that as much, because like their first interaction is kind of like the parents are still there, and then he's like, what does he have to do? Like take the garbage out or something? But then when they're gone and he comes back in, because he's like, so are we gonna like watch a movie or something? She's like, I have to make a phone call first. So she was like very dismissive of him. But then he like just shows up, and he's drinking the champagne out of the bottle, and she's just like, oh my god. Like, so right off the bat there's already this like combativeness to their relationship. So I never saw maybe this is just that you saw it the first time. This is the second time I've seen it, so I kind of like obviously knew what to expect, but it just like right away it just like, oh god, this guy, like he is just trouble, like that's the thing. Like it's not like all the clues are there of just this kid being a psychopath. And like the first time I saw it, I kind of knew what the spoiler was, thanks to
I see.
I think it was probably, it might have been like Dead Meat or something, like one of their videos, because I'd already seen it. 'Cause it's just like, I don't personally like to watch movies, like consume them in like, a 20-minute block of just like this happens and this happens. But for some reason I like clicked on that because I'm like, this doesn't look like anything I'll ever watch. And then it got to the point, I'm like, oh, I should probably turn this off because this does seem like something I would want to watch.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't. I think I watched it for the first time maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember. It's been recent.
Okay.
And I watched it, and I really enjoyed it. And for this, like I bought it just for the purposes of this. Which, mind you, we should probably say where can you find this movie?
Well, you can find it in the Blu-ray edition that you're holding right in your hand, Zach. Yes. Or that's the only edition I could find on physical media. Mm-hmm. So pending an Arrow or Scream Factory release, a collector's edition at some point, I'm sure. But you can stream the movie off Peacock, Plex, Pluto, Roku, Tubi, and something called Fossum that I've never heard of before.
Yeah.
So and a lot of those are free with ads, so it could cost you absolutely nothing. Save a few minutes every now and then, at a commercial break to indulge if you haven't already. And sorry if we spoiled it.
Yeah,
but you shouldn't listen to us talk.
That's the thing. It's just like you walk into a situation where there's a podcast that's talking about it, a movie, you're going to get spoiled. I think the one time that I was just like super careful with, like when we talked about Tenebrae, because I think that's my favorite movie, and I wouldn't want to ruin it for anyone. But if you're listening to a podcast about a specific movie, like it's common sense sort of thing. And that's why, like, when I started watching the kill count episode, I wasn't, it's just like, I did it to myself. I have no one to blame but myself.
100%.
Anyway, like the first time I watched it, I really did enjoy it. This time, less so, because I do want to like really praise the fact that there is like a Psycho level twist in terms of, I mean, maybe not to the level of Psycho, but just in terms of like the story is transforming, and it's doing it pretty early on. Like we're still like probably like this is the end of the first act that this is revealed, but then like at that point, I don't find that anything, like there's really no new revelations or discoveries for the rest of the movie that, transcend it to another level. Like we're just kind of like, okay, this is what it is now. And I feel like we just kind of like are going through the motions of most of it in this scenario where, the tables have been turned and he's now got the upper hand. And I would have like appreciated more if there was like sort of more to his plan in terms of like what we were discovering. Cause it's just like, especially when it came to the friend, because it's very much like implied throughout the whole thing. Like, they're just saying like, he's just using you. He's not your friend, yada, yada, yada. But it didn't seem like there was at any point he was going to betray him or wanted to betray him. He just sort of betrayed him because the friend betrayed him first. And I don't even know if he was like pissed off at him that he was untying her or that he kissed her. And we're talking about what's his name? The character.
Garrett.
Garrett, yeah. Because he just comes in and he blows him away with the shotgun, and he's like screaming, Jill Roberts style, almost too. I'm just like how could you do this to me, sort of thing. So like,
look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. Yeah.
It was more like reactionary than like this like evil genius, like, oh, I always was gonna do that. Kind of like similar to what you would see in Scream 4 where Jill betrays Charlie. So it felt like it was almost like he was sort of making it up as he went along. So at a certain point, like it just like the intrigue was lost. It wasn't like there was nothing new to expect, and I wasn't having fun again until after he thought he had killed everyone, and he was sort of like cleaning up and like trying to get the pencil and all that, because that was fun for me. That was like, is he gonna get away with it? Like, I don't want him to get away with it, but I also kind of do want him to get away with it. And seeing that process of it was more interesting to me than just seeing him kind of like hold everyone hostage and just be this like little psychopath, because it wasn't there wasn't anything nuanced about it. It was just sort of like, okay, like here we are. It's like, how are we going to get out of this? And he's like, I know what I'm doing. And we're basically, everything that is put on the table from the turn in the movie is just there for pretty much the rest of it. And we're not really transcending beyond that for what we know. So there's some points where it kind of like gets a little stale for me.
Oh, okay. See, there were other moments that like were a little bit more shocking to me, just in terms of like, how are you going to not let the movie end here? But we'll get into that, because there's a lot that you addressed that I want to talk about. Like the his psychopathy, basically. One thing that I actually did really appreciate that felt incredibly authentic to me was the fact that like there were certain areas that he obviously had like kind of like completely planned and mapped out, and the rest of it, there was a delight in the unknown, like the fact that he at one point like Luke turns to Garrett and just kind of like, I don't know what's going on, isn't it fun? And he's just kind of like, no, like a regular person, like I mean semi-regular, like a regular person probably wouldn't have let it get even that far, but Garrett's a sheep, so for a sheeple to be standing there going like, no, absolutely not, like this is not fun, we're going to go to jail, this is serious things, you said we were just going to scare this person and now we have her tied up and injured and you're feeling her up and that is not okay. And the thing that I liked was the way also the fact that he's 12 years old. He can't be on top of everything in a way that I believe. The fact that he actually had as much kind of like handled was actually impressive to me. And the rest of it, I even love the way the actor played it, because I felt like there were so many times I was watching someone who it was like he was pulling a Billy Loomis. Like I didn't feel like I was watching just a psychopath. There were layers to it. I felt like I was watching a psychopath at 12 years old playing a psychopath to intimidate her the way he thought, like, well, this is the way psychopaths act. Like the way well, I don't know, just kind of like affect a casual kind of tone to her and things like that, the way he'd just saunter about and just kind of like act like, oh, it's all so bourgeois, it's all so gauche. And I was like, you're playing cops and robbers is what you're doing. You don't understand like the depths, and that's built in that character. You don't have a comprehension to the extent of the damage that you are causing, and what's more, you don't care. That made it walked a line with me, and I do have to say, I wonder what this is going to be like on a repeat viewing for me, because it was a little excruciating sometimes, his soliloquying, because he's not someone whose point of view, while I'm fascinated by it, I'm also really unsettled by it. I really don't like him the more I get to know about him. And so the more time I spend with him on screen, the more I'm just like, you fucking piece of shit. And I'm wondering if it's going to be harder to if it's going to be even less palatable as I move through it, on a repeat viewing, knowing what I'm in for. But if I have maybe that appetite for it, if I'm like kind of feeling like, oh, I want to watch, because I will say it didn't get to the extent of like, I was worried for a while, is this going to be like a Christmas set Funny Games? Because that one was hard to sit through. And me, I don't often, I've walked out of one movie my entire life. I like to sit through something so I know I experienced it in its entirety, so my opinion can be informed. So I didn't stop watching Funny Games, even though I wanted to about 3 or 4 times. This movie, I didn't want to stop it. I did have to stop it because I started missing things, and I was taking notes, and I had like, oh fuck, I'm missing things, so I had to keep rewinding. But so I do have to say, like, at least it didn't go that route. It didn't feel like a kind of home invasion, torture porny kind of thing. But I did walk the line for me every now and then, where I was just kind of like, get this fucker.
There's a little like Home Alone that exists in there as well. I mean, I think they even reference
make
Home
the illusion.
Alone.
But
mostly I get. I mean, the thing that I get the most, which is just interesting that I mentioned Emma Roberts in Scream 4, because I always correlated that character with Cartman that we already mentioned on South Park. Because this kid, like, it feels like this is what, like, if Cartman was a live action movie of just that character and how he would be in a scenario like this. Because it's just like, we've seen many episode of South Park where he's got some like evil nefarious scheme and he's just sort of like getting away with it and like, on top of things. And then when shit starts to go south, he kind of has that reactionary thing where he just starts like screaming and cursing at everyone because things are not going according to plan. And then, he either gets away with it or he gets caught, but then it's like, you know that like everything's going to be fine and he's not going to learn any lesson from this scenario. And, that's if I can glom onto anything in this and what I really appreciate about it is that, but yeah, I mean, I've seen the funny games. I've seen Funny Games, the one with Naomi Watts, the remake. I never saw the original.
And Michael Pitt. Yeah.
And you don't like him.
I have. I don't. I'll just say it. I don't.
You always,
I tried.
You always
I tried so hard. I tried, but between Hedwig and then the Hannibal, I don't.
Yeah,
I'm just.
That's like one of the things that I remember. It's just like this quirk that you bring up.
I thought he did. I thought that was probably the best work that he did in that movie. But the problem was like it also just allowed me to kind of glom onto my own distaste for this performer. And I thought, great, now I just get to sit here and go, you fuck.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to. Good.
Yeah. But that's
good for you, casting director.
Yeah. I remember the remake of that, and it is not a fun movie. Like there's more fun going on here, obviously. Yeah. And there's a performance to him that's like, it almost feels like Malcolm McDowell in Clockwork Orange. Just where he's like prancing around with the baseball, like I'm singing in the rain, except you're like, you better watch out, better not cry. Maybe that's the thing. He could have been like just wrecking the shit out of, like, that's the thing. If like he's trying to make this look like a home invasion or some sort of situation, like, her ex-boyfriend came in, like I could see a scenario where he's just kind of going around and just batting the shit out of things in his house while he's just singing.
If he's going to be sleeping sound when they discover him, what if he gets shards of glass in him or something?
That is part of the plan that just like did not make any sense to me. That he's like, all this happened while he was in his bed just sleeping the whole time, because it's like his friend was there and like got blown in the face with a shotgun. So it's like, why was your friend there and not like with you? Like, how were you upstairs the whole time? So it's like, it didn't. There's like holes to it, obviously, but it would have made more sense if he was just sort of hiding in his room or like had barricaded himself to like really sell it, rather than be like, oh, that happened. Like I was sleeping through the whole thing.
It's easier but he took a sleeping pill. Like he was supposed to have like a sleeping pill and be out.
Okay.
But and if he did wander anywhere, because even before he laid down, he took the pill.
Yeah.
So he's like, so it can be in my system if there's any question about my thing. Also, I think I don't have a problem with it, because also like the more they look to you to tell your side of the story, the more spaces you have to trip up than just to say, I slept right through it. I have no idea what happened. I had a sleeping pill. Give me a blood test. It'll prove it. So, I mean, again, also the fact that this is a 12-year-old, like it's fanciful. This is like he's had little, it's kind of, I can't put it any other, I use an acting motif. It's like if you've done like, little like community theater productions, or you've done like little student films, like on college campuses and stuff like that. And just to kind of like, get things going. And then you've got the big time, this is his Broadway opening, this is his first time. He really has to like kind of like shine and be a star, like in Maxine. But so I feel like there's this like appetite for theatricality that he's lending himself to. Like he's so playing, again, like the way Jill did. It's funny, now I'm not going to be able to get Jill out of my head this whole pod. Just the way he's just kind of like waking up, what happened? What, like baby deer, innocent little, oh, I don't even know, like, and just going to play through
Maybe
it.
we can write a book with our matching wounds and all.
Yeah, right. But, because your Anjane days are over. But,
she didn't have a vocal fry.
No, I do. But, I'm sure there's a trace of something in there. Yeah. But anyway, I do have to say, like, on the heels of that, speaking of ingenue, I think that's another reason that I dislike this character as much as I do, because I fell for it. And I thought, oh my God, what a sweet kid. Even when he was making mistakes, doing things that, you know, he ought not do, like forcing a kiss on his, or trying to force a kiss on his babysitter, and like, you know, touching her thigh, and, you know, and all of that. And even like, I don't know, the way he handled the pizza thing, and I don't know, the confrontational, that was when I felt he was confrontational, was just kind of like, why can't I do this? You know, before we even knew that he was a full-blown prick. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, he's just like a little brat. You just, but I also understand there was enough laced in to make me kind of like feel for him, and maybe even, dare I say it, empathize with him, because like I said, when we're 12, how well do we know how to conduct ourselves with the emotions while our hormones are surging, and we're no longer little baby children, but we're not adults anywhere near it, but we want to be taken seriously. We want to conduct ourselves like adults because we know what we want. We see it. We're going to go after it. And the way that all of that seemed endearing to me, the way he thought that he and Ashley could end up together because they were 5 years apart. His parents are 5 years apart. So that's the way kids think. That's the way you think when you're just like, well, it won't matter when we're adults, you know, like, then even the fact that he like thought Maxim had the answers to like how to conduct yourself with women and what they want and what's going to attract them and everything like that. And even like I'm going to put on a horror movie to try and get her, you know, to like, you know, clutch on to me and everything like that. Were they watching
something specific, or was that just a thing that was like filmed for?
That's what I was wondering. It looked totally made for the film. Yeah. It did not look like an authentic movie to me, I have to say. It looked cheap as fuck. Like straight to DVD Blockbuster. Yeah. Well, it was 2016, so there was no Blockbuster, but you know what I mean. It was a Tubi original, let's put it that way. Because sometimes they can look sketchy. But
just something that was public domain enough that they could use. No, they probably filmed that for the movie. This was filmed in Australia. So I mean, like all the snow, because they did this in January when it's, you know, essentially summertime, and or the reverse of what it would be in North America, or anywhere else in the world, I should say, in the northern hemisphere, and it's so all the snow is fake. The cast is all Australian, other than Patrick and Virginia. And one thing that I noticed, because I was looking through the trivia after, but like the doorknobs on the houses are like, they're way up here. And I was like thinking, like, is this like a Argento thing? Because it's like in Suspiria, like all the sets were designed with the doorknobs like really high to make them, because they were supposed to be like little girls in that movie, and I think that they might have done that again in Phenomena. But in here, I was just like, why is everything so high? And I looked at the trivia, and I guess that the reason for that is that traditional homes or older homes in Australia were designed with these the doorknobs at like 4 feet or more high. So the director, who's not Australian, like I guess he had a bone of contention about that, because it was like very distracting the whole time, and I get it, because it made me like step outside of the movie for a moment and just be like, that's strange. And I didn't even know. Yeah, that's the thing, because I guess like, you know, they built the set for this movie, because I don't think that they used an actual home. This is clearly a set. And the set designers were just like, let's just put the doorknob up here, where it's just like, no, this is supposed to take place in the States. So so I guess that was the distraction. It's just like, this is like no home in America.
Yeah, I have to say I'm astonished that the 3 minors in particular. Well, I guess she's 5 years older than him, so she would be 17, so she's still a minor. Olivia de Jong, Levi Miller, and Ed Oxenbould, who I recognized from The Visit. He's the little boy in The Visit who gets. Well,
they're both in The Visit, apparently.
Oh my God, is she the girl?
Yeah, I believe so.
I did not recognize her.
That
Oh my
must
god.
have
Well,
also
okay, because she's like
been-
full-blown woman.
Yeah,
Oh
I mean
my
that was just a year prior. So they both,
I didn't even recognize her.
yeah, like both movies were probably filmed in Australia, if that's the case. I've never seen The
Okay,
Visit.
okay.
Is it?
Oh my god.
Is it worth checking out? I know.
I liked it.
I know the twist. You know.
Yeah,
Not that, like,
that's
M.
a
Night,
shot.
not that like M. Night
That's too
Shyamalan
bad.
movies are, you know, like. Did you see Trap?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. There's not really a twist in that, but it's like.
It's more that's a whole discussion, but
Yeah.
for me that's more like, because I didn't watch the trailers, so the twist for me was like, oh, that's what's going on really early. But then
Yeah.
later I thought like, oh, this takes some. I didn't know where it was going to go at a certain point. I was just kind of like, okay, the movie could literally do anything.
It
and
could,
I'll buy
and
it.
it felt like it was doing like the least interesting thing too.
Oh,
Maybe we'll
Jesus.
talk about
All right.
that one day. Yeah, but
Maybe
it's just
we'll
like
talk
my
about that
my
one.
my experience with Shyamalan movies has never been
Yes.
great.
Okay.
But I heard that one
Then
was decent. The
I
Visit.
don't know how you'd respond to The Visit. I've seen it twice, once blind and the second time knowing exactly what I was going into, and I actually liked it better the second time round. I thought it was compelling, but I know there are people who do not feel that way, so I can't really vouch for you.
So kind of interesting that Virginia Madsen and Patrick Warburton are playing the parents, because like they're like, I mean, great casting. I love that they're in this, but it feels like, why did they do this? You know, why did they get them? And that's not a complaint. And it feels like the movie even like takes some time, like at the very beginning, because it's sort of like focuses on them and their relationship for like a minute or so before she arrives. So it's like they wanted to get their usage out of them. But it's one of those things where just like, I wanted more, you know, like I needed more of them.
I always need more of both of them. I thought, Patrick Warburton is so effortlessly funny, and Virginia Madsen has that, like, I can't stand you, I can't believe I'm married to you, let's go to this party down pat.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't really give much thought to it. I think it occurred to me at one point, I was like, when are we going to see them again? And we see very little of them at the end. But Virginia Madsen's really the one we see most of, just like with her kind of like, you know, holding her son, like, and valuing him and treasuring him and everything like that. But the only thing I can think of that as it relates to like kind of like the ultimate themes of the movie is that like we've got like a quote unquote, not a domineering, she's not domineering, but a woman in a position of dominance over a man who just kind of wants to do what he wants to do. And if that's the terrain that little Luke is being raised up in, maybe he thinks the way to appeal to a woman is to just kind of do whatever makes you happy, and if she doesn't like it, tough, which would explain a lot about the direction his character takes. Because yeah, I did when he saved Ashley from the spider that we found out later was his pet, but when he, you know, put the jar over it and everything like that and took it outside, I was just like, oh my god, I do that. Good for you, kid. I fell so hard for his shit that when he finally smacked Ashley, because first of all, I didn't know that this was them perpetuating this, you know, home invasion on her to get her scared so she would, like, you know, whatever, clutch him or whatever. And it seemed extreme, and I was like, oh my god, kids, because I thought that was going to be the movie. I thought it was just going to be a home invasion movie. So I was like, oh shit, kid, no. Then when he smacked her, I was like, okay, I have no idea anymore, because I thought you were a decent kid who was making mistakes, as kids do. And it immediately made me go back and go, what were the signs? Like, what were the things that I was forgiving that I shouldn't have been forgiving, that I should have been going like, uh-oh, clocked it.
Were the red
okay, don't like that. Don't like that. And instead, I just kept attributing it to youth and to, I think, the way a lot of people might have if they, even after the fact, if they end up finding out the truth about him.
Which is what he's hoping
sure there
for.
are
Just like, boys will be boys.
Exactly. That it's going to take that turn.
So just to get back to the parents for a second, because
Yes.
I was sort of another correlation I was making was Halloween Ends, or Hens, as we like to call it, of just like the opening scene of that, with the parents coming back from their party or whatever, and the kid falling off of the banister. Mm-hmm. I wonder what the movie would have been if there was a scenario, because she doesn't really get the opportunity, Ashley, she doesn't really get the opportunity to fight back. Like, she's mostly just sort of subdued and tied up most of the movie. But if there was a scenario where she kind of gets free and like goes after him and ends up like getting him right as the parents walk in, and they're just, all they see is like, you killed our son, and then that's like,
and he just immediately bursts into tears and starts like, Mom,
yeah,
Dad, thank God you're here.
Or he's dead, or but that would be great too. I'm just almost like a very You're Next type of ending, where it's just like, oh, you think that they like, you're like rooting for her, like, yeah, get the little fucker, and then it's just like, oh shit, the worst timing possible. Which is exactly when like Halloween Ends, where they come in, which was laughable. Mm-hmm. We talked about it in that movie, when they come in the door and then like you just see the kid falling onto the floor. God, that I love that movie so much, in like all the worst ways, because it's just so bad.
The closer we are to the beginning, the more I love it.
Yeah.
The closer we are to the end, the less I
That's
love
another
it.
Speaking of movies that are like, you know, kind of don't really have any correlation to the holiday, I feel like Halloween Ends is there's really nothing Halloween about it, because it's like that could have taken place any point in the year, and it would make sense because it's like Michael is hibernating. He's in his little sewer home, and it would have been like interesting if they acknowledged, we're actually in the middle of June here, and Michael's hand has kind of been forced. It's like, oh, this fucker stole my mask. All right, I'm gonna go out and like kill some people to get it back.
Yeah, it barely correlates with the holiday. Also, barely correlates with Michael Myers. Like he serves basically no purpose. He could have not been in the movie, and it would have been. He's there for the standoff at the end, but like he doesn't do anything. Like, yeah, and he gets one kill prior to that, right? If I memory serves.
3 altogether, I believe. Yeah.
It was like the doctor, the nurse, and who else?
Well, Corey got the doctor, but he got the nurse.
Oh, okay.
He got I feel like we're spoiling Halloween Ends. It's been enough time.
Oh, well.
It's the Corey, and there was one more. Maybe it was just 2. Was there another one?
Yeah.
I'm sure there was.
Oh, right, because Corey. I forgot about that. See how memorable it is. Anyway, with this one, no, I think.
Oh, it was the cop, the one that was had a thing with Allison.
Him. He dies. I don't even remember.
The one because he's the one that goes into the sewer, and I mean, it was like,
oh, right. Yeah. Like, kind of like to,
Corey gave him the assist.
Feeds him.
But Michael.
But Corey basically feeds the guy to Michael. So stupid. Yeah. Sorry if you like it. I don't mean to yuck your yum.
No,
folks.
it is such a stupid movie, but it's entertaining. Like I at least get, like, I'm in such awe of like how ridiculous it is. It's just like, this was actually a movie that people were in a writing room and thought of this idea and were just like, yeah, let's do this, and let's spend what was the budget? Probably like, 40 million or something like that. I wonder what the budget was for.
And
this
I love
movie.
that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I mean, it's not a lot of locations, and it's in Australia, so probably not much. But I do wonder, like, there were things. Oh, because there was one thing you mentioned, like the Doors. Oh, 3 million. Oh, good for them.
The box office was 188,000, but it probably, has since made a lot more with, physical media,
with all the ads,
sales, and streaming and whatnot. Yeah.
100%. Oh, I hope so. No, you mentioned like the doorknobs and everything, and I didn't notice that once while I was watching the movie. So I guess I was engaged or taking notes. But the one thing that I did notice was like at one point, I think it was after they got the pizza delivered, and Ashley closes the door and she locks the deadbolt only, and immediately I was just like, who does that? And it made me wonder, is that like a non-United States thing? Because I have a deadbolt and like a lock on the doorknob itself, and I make sure always to lock both of them. If one of them is locked, the other one is locked, because I don't trust fuckers. But I also remember seeing, I can't remember which one, it was a Michael Mann documentary. It might have been Bowling for Columbine, but also might have been Fahrenheit 9/11. I think it was, or not Michael Mann, sorry. The shit. I can't remember his name right now. People know who I'm. Michael Moore, thank you.
Michael Mann is, Miami Vice.
Michael Mann is a legit theatrical filmmaker, right?
Manhunter.
Michael Moore, sorry. But the brain. But no, I remember seeing, I think it was in Bowling for Columbine, they were talking about like U.S. security and everything like that in comparison with Canada. And they did this interview with like people in their Canadian homes, how many doors were just open. And it just made me think like, is that still a thing? Like you're in Canada, like do you lock your door?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. If I can remember.
Okay.
But I live in a condo, so it's not that situation. But like when I was younger and like lived with my parents and we had our house, I always locked the doors and we had many entrances, so it's just like, and I mean, I'm a fan of Scream, so it's like automatically you're like, you have to make sure every door is locked. There can't be any door. I probably made the rounds several times where I just been like, okay, locked, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just a certain region of Canada, probably, maybe wherever he was. I forget where he was, but I remember it made the impression of just kind of like, see, Canada's, secure enough in their own kind of like, if people broke in. I remember he asked one person on the street, like, why don't you lock your doors? It's like, well, I mean, if I locked them, it'd be like saying I don't trust my neighbors. And I was like, wow, I know nothing about that way of life, but I'm glad to learn that. It sounds like you don't either.
I mean, this is taking place in the suburbs.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
it's a good neighborhood.
I guess like the deadbolt was enough. I'm more just like kind of taken aback by this Santa ornament that like seemed to have just come out of, like, it just materialized out of nowhere. I don't remember seeing it before, and if we did see it, there was no way that it was that close to the door. Unless like he moved it. He moved it. Like
unless he moved it.
But when would he have done that? Because it's like we saw him, we saw the blocking. He kind of came in, went the opposite direction with the pizza. Or no, she still had the pizza in her hand, but he had the money and he came and like gave it to him, but then he took off.
Yeah, and it lights up, so it's obviously supposed to belong outside, but she reacts to it like it's been there the whole time, and says, I hate this thing, like I'm always tripping over it or something was the subtext that I got. But I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch the movie again and come back to you. But I did like that I was on his side for so long in his earnestness, just for him to learn, just for him to grow and everything like that before we found out who he was.
Their last name is Lerner.
Yeah. And
Luke Lerner.
But Luke Lerner, oh my God. But I just liked that the age discrepancy, because I was kind of like...
Well, they're 4 years apart.
Even if you are mature...
You were saying 5. Or are you talking about the actors, or did they say in the movie that they were 5 years apart?
No, the characters, that there was 5. Yeah, they said in the beginning, he said, there's a 5-year age difference. He's like, well, my parents are 5 years apart, so that's why he thought it was something that could happen. But I like that it was the clearest when, and I now that I know it's a lie, but it felt the clearest when he was legitimately scared on the floor with her. Because that was the turn for me. I mentioned earlier kind of like seeing... kind of like the hokiness of their exchanges before, they had her confronting him, saying, "Listen, you know, we can't do this." But it got really real for me when she had to be the final girl babysitter energy. You know, like when they were on the floor. I believe they were in the kitchen, and she saw Garrett's foot like out in the snow, not moving. And she's crying, and he's just terrified and asking questions, and she just looks him in the eye and says, "Listen." And she's going down like the checklist of just kind of like, does your family have a gun? And even before that, she asked him like, "Why don't you have a security system here?" And that's when he says like, "It's because we have a nice neighborhood." But she's like, "Listen, okay, I want you to go upstairs." Even before that, when she like grabs the knife, and they hear something upstairs after they find out that Garrett's like at the front door and everything like that. She hears something break. I think it's the brick. And she's just kind of like, "Okay, I'm going upstairs alone. But if you guys hear anything, I want you to get out of here. I want you to call the cops, okay? If I scream, do that." And I was just kind of like, okay, I like this survivor energy. And then she was kind of like on that level for the rest of the movie. Although that was another thing I appreciated, was at times where he was just being an asshole, she just seemed really over it and really just kind of like, oh dear God. Like when he felt her up, I just loved the way she almost rolled her eyes and was just like, oh, I can't even believe that this is fucking happening to me. You know, this piece of shit. And I cared about him, and I'm like right there with her. That was one thing about it, was just like, I was whoever I needed to kind of align myself with as we were moving through the movie. I found myself doing that. So I want to credit the movie for that. But I think that maybe the darkest thing for me, though, was when she first wakes up and Garrett and Luke are playing Marry, Fuck, Kill with the chicks from Adventure Time. And I was like, oh no, I love Adventure Time. Don't do this. And they're talking about like Princess. It's the one with Finn the human and Jake the dog, the orange dog, and Finn's got like a little white kind of like animal hoodie on.
Yeah. I've never seen it.
With a sword.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's Princess Bubblegum, Marceline, and I forget who the third woman they were talking about was. Tree Trunks? I don't know. But but just hearing them, again, they're doing Marry, Fuck, Kill with cartoon characters. They never seemed younger to me than that moment in the movie, and they never seemed more dangerous, because that was when we knew the least, you know? The more exposure I got to him, the less I liked him, but the less I also kind of feared him, because I was like, you're not going to kill her unless it's part of the plan. Like, there was at one point where he holds the gun to her face, and because he wants her to call one of her boyfriends. I think they already got Ricky. He wanted her to call Jeremy, the other ex.
Right.
And that was the kid from Stranger Things, wasn't it?
Yes.
The brother.
I don't know.
I can't remember his name.
He was in Power Rangers.
It doesn't matter enough to me. Yeah, him, the new Power Rangers
which I
movie kid.
never saw.
Me neither.
Is it pronounced Decree?
I don't care.
Decree. I decree.
You decree. Yes.
Decree Montgomery.
Okay, him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I at first I didn't notice it when he was just like sitting in the car drinking, puffing himself up. You know, just
you can tell like from his eyes, like he has very like intense.
Yeah, once it was head on, I was just kind of like, oh, that's that kid from Stranger
It's the racist bully. Yeah. Remember there was like this whole debate, because like that's I forget, the shows, there's still like one more season coming, right? But there was this whole thing where it was like he was bullying the black kid, and and there was never any reason why he like singled him out, so it was just sort of like assumed like, oh, he's racist. And then it was never explained, it was never answered, but then like they, I guess, made the character sympathetic all this sudden, which I never got. And then people were like, wait a second, there was this whole controversy online of just like sympathy for this racist bully.
I didn't make him. I mean, okay, we're never going to cover Stranger Things.
No,
so I'll just say this.
There's too much. So all I'll say about Stranger Things is that there's.
You go first.
No, I will. Thank you very much.
I'm like I decorated for Stranger Things. I got Christmas lights on the wall behind me.
Yeah.
For those watching.
The point where it just lost me was like the Vecna or whatever, who's like the big bad.
Oh yeah.
Has like a 20-minute monologue in one episode, and it just got to a point where just like, I don't even, it's just words at this point. And she's like 11 or whatever. She's just listening to it. She's not even responding. And it just made me think of that Buffy episode where she meets the first evil for the first time.
Yes.
And it's like, I am the blah, blah. And she's like, all right, I get it. You're evil. Got to chat about it all day. Yeah. And it's just like, where was Buffy to fucking shut that shit down? Anyway, sorry.
No, well, we could use Buffy for a lot of strength.
That's where I like.
Actually, you know what we should do?
That's where I lost respect.
We should wait until it's over and then just do a pod, like just kind of discussing like our like top 5, bottom 5, something like that of the series, and just do an after dark for Stranger Things of the series,
like episodes
of the series.
Or
no, just like top 5 moments, aspects, things, something like that, and then bottom 5.
That would mean like that I have to watch the whole thing. I'd have to get Netflix.
If you're ever craving it, it's an option. Because now that you're talking like that, I realize I have a lot to say back. The only thing I'll say with regard to the whole reason it came up was because of this kid who playing Jeremy.
Right.
In the series, I didn't feel that it made him sympathetic so much as it just made him a person who can, commit atrocities and make mistakes, and then also can choose to do the right thing. And he gets like one moment in the entire series where he kind of makes the right decision and makes the ultimate sacrifice, and somebody misses him, someone who would miss him. So I'm like, I don't know, I think that's kind of bonkers, that argument that like it made him sympathetic, because it didn't make me sympathetic to him. It just made me think the person who was missing him was justified in missing him, So there you go. I'm speaking as vaguely as possible because we're not going to spoil franchise after franchise on this episode.
Just come over to the cherry picker. You never know what we're going to talk about amidst the movie that we're supposed to be talking about. But
So Jeremy, when he. There's the point where he wants her to get Jeremy to come over, and she's refusing because she's not going to include anyone else in his bullshit, and he points the gun at her, threatening to shoot her, and she's just kind of like, go ahead then, like I know you're not going to shoot me, and he's just like, oh yeah, I will, and then she calls his bluff, and he doesn't. He's like, okay, and he switches gears and moves on to something else, and I thought he was going to start torturing Ricky, but that happened later. But I like her. I like the balance, the fact that she's not like completely frenzied and terrified the entire time, because that's not believable, that's not sustainable, you'd pass out. But the moments that she played, that she probably selected with the director to just kind of like be over it, or just be kind of like, this is a humane moment for me to take in the loss, for tears to run down my face, something like that. I can take a moment for myself and just be human. I don't have to be a fucking superhero right now, but I'm doing this so I can be a superhero in a minute, because I don't want any of this shit getting in my way. I really ended up liking Ashley quite a bit, and I'm glad that she survived, because I was worried for a while when he cut her throat. I remember thinking... Did he cut her throat? Well, because the knife went right there, and she put the duct tape on her neck to cover up where he cut. Oh, after he cut her, because
clearly I wasn't paying enough attention, because I just thought he like stabbed her in like the back of the neck or something.
No. Well, okay, this is the sequence of events. Yeah. Garrett was there. He's starting to cut her out of what she's in, but it's really, really thick, so it's taking a long time. And they're there long enough for him to get her, I guess, one of her hands free, probably her right hand, or I don't know, maybe her left, but which are duct taped, but that like once they're free, you can wriggle, you can whatever, but he blows Garrett away, and they're talking. He moves behind her, brings the knife to her neck, and she has her eyes shut, just waiting, because she knows that he wasn't going to let her live anyway. She even says as much, and then he drags the knife kind of like lightly across her neck, and she starts to bleed out, and that's when he has to start the cleanup. Now, I'm guessing while he was cleaning up, he couldn't be watching her, and anytime they didn't watch her, that was her way out, and she knew it. So I'm guessing she got the duct tape either off of her hand or even pulled it from somewhere else, put it on her wound, and then just so it would like stop the flow of blood, so her blood could continue to run, and then so she has a wound, but she's not going to die. Lay there and just kind of wait it out, because who knows what the fuck is going to happen.
Yeah.
And also she can't move.
Yeah.
So and she probably passed out too. They got to her in time. She survived. They talked about the duct tape that was on her neck. She was smart for putting.
Oh, that
it
was
there
was something said.
Yeah,
Like when
they
they
said
were...
it as they were putting her in the ambulance.
It was like one. It was like
finger.
one of the. I guess I just wasn't listening to that. But that's like.
I had
like
subtitles on too.
Okay, that's fair.
It's not the easiest movie to understand.
Yeah, there was like a lot of
yeah.
fucking like talking, and I was like, especially at the beginning when like the friends are talking about their.
I had to turn it on then, because I was missing.
But it's
stuff.
just like that's just giving me like Dewey in the ambulance. It's just like, yeah, I went into some old scar tissue.
You will find any excuse to reference a Scream movie. But
it exists. It's like Scream seeps into everything.
I know. It does. It's infused. But I do think that like when he first did it, I didn't think about duct tape and didn't think I was so blown away, for lack of a better term, by him killing Garrett, and even just like the tantrum that happened afterwards of this betrayal, this perceived betrayal, and then immediately this psychopathic shift into he was starting to annoy me anyway. He may as well have tossed his hair after that. But but I was so blown away by that I didn't even think like, oh, he was cutting her free. I wonder if her hands, like I was so derailed by everything. And then because I'm a psycho stan, like I live for the cleanup, I live for Norman, paying attention to the details, making sure, okay, did I get the newspaper? Did I clean these spots of blood? Did I wipe it out inside of the, like pay attention to detail. I'm right there with you. And with him, I love that that's when he started to really fuck up, because it gave him back some of his kiddishness, not innocence, but childishness, his naivete, thinking that like, it just made me think like, God, you're bumbling this whole thing, but it's also kind of human and abundantly watchable. But it made me think when it was all going on, this is really bleak. I wonder if he's going to get away with it. Is that the movie I was watching? Is it going to be like that? What's another word for bleak? Just like that much of a downer that like everybody who possibly had any sliver of humanity in them is now expired, and the asshole wins, because there is that movie.
I think there's
it's
just
Funny
like
Games.
that's the point of the ending, is that it's sort of like the best of both scenarios, where he has gotten away with it, and then there's like, oh no, she's alive, and she flips him off. But then we get the mid credits of just like, I think we should go to the hospital, because I don't really see that as like a setup for a sequel as much as I just see it of just sort of like, all right, like he's got it handled, or they're just going to be in this back and forth for however long it's going to go. It's just like, it's choose your own adventure, like, wherever your imagination may go with that, of just like who reigned triumphant in the end between the two of them. So.
That given like what's been suggested as far as the idea for like a sequel taking place years later, the scenario I immediately kind of hypothesized, I guess, if that's the phrase, was what if he was found out, she told everything, they believed her, they put him away, and he served his time. Maybe he's undergone psychological treatment, and maybe he was able to fool. I wouldn't like it, because they always make therapists really and psychiatrists really dumb in these movies, but maybe he was able to fool the system and try and beat it and get out and redeem himself. Even maybe there are people who stan him, and I mean, even what's happening now online, like,
oh my God, what's
I won't
his
get
name?
into it. Luigi.
Right.
I don't remember his last name, but this guy,
the murderer who everyone's thirsting over.
Yeah. Everybody's going nuts over it, talking about like, oh my God, they better find a jury who's not gonna fall in love with him. And I'm like, oh my God. And I mean, it's there. It's there for the taking, and the social commentary for him to get some kind of public display of a redemption arc that is completely posturing and ludicrous, but that half of the population is totally on board for, if not more. And then that she ends up having to put up with his shit again. Like there's definitely a narrative there that you can continue, that I think the seeds were planted. Like I said, like I feel like it was really kind of mindfully put together, and the parts that are sloppy I think work because you're talking about a child now dealing with an adult. Maybe and especially one who's looking for revenge and who's looking to not even to challenge himself by not making the same mistakes he made the first time. Like, you really just kind of like stack the situation with all of these possibilities for like each person to get the upper hand, and also to maybe do like a better version of a 2018 Halloween. What they were trying to do was just like, he's been waiting for me, I've been waiting for him. Come on, Michael. But in this case, they won't find each other just because they happen to be thrown together. They're going to find each other because one of them is looking for the other one, and the other one knows that they are going to look for them, because that is indeed the rhetoric that is being pushed here.
Now I'm just like envisioning a Halloween 2018, or I guess Halloween Kills prequel, which is just like reinventing what Halloween 1978 was, but it was actually Tommy Doyle was the perpetrator of all of the chaos and madness.
Yeah.
And there never was a Michael Myers. He was just a thing that was invented by Tommy, or the boogeyman, because he just wanted to kind of get with Laurie.
Oh my God. That's what ends should have been if Tommy hadn't, been killed off in Kills. But, no, I mean, I did get a weird flash also. Like I talked about, like rediscovering Luke's naivete as he was. I also kind of got, because the parents were driving up to the very expensive house and stuff. Yeah. I got a throwback to Ferris Bueller, but like evil.
Oh, absolutely. I loved it.
Yeah,
when the candy cane almost falls off and he catches it.
Yeah, all of that.
And they just
I was just kind of like, oh my God, is this going to be like the Ferris Bueller of slashers?
But I wish that's what it, I wish that was what it was more of. Like, cause that, like, I love that part at the end of just like the like I said, the cleanup, the pencil thing. Because like I don't know, this pencil thing, like Virginia Madsen seemed pretty confident in the fact that this was going to hold up. The entire time, because it's just like, what I think that he probably could have got away with like not having the pencil. Like he could have just left it on the floor, because she came in and she was like hysterical. She just ran up and ran into the room. She wouldn't have even remembered a pencil being on the door or anything. So
yeah, but you got to cover your tracks. It added tension for me. I was like, if he just lets it go.
Look, I'm not
like his credit.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it didn't add tension. I'm just saying probably didn't need to do it.
Maybe.
I'm thinking more psychologically of the character and just like the situation as it played out. But yeah, for a movie and the audience's benefit of having that tension, then yes, it was necessary. I'm just thinking like, I'm just thinking for like,
he isn't
like yeah.
Right. No, he's an interesting contradiction as a character, because he's got like immense, immaculate attention to detail in some instances, and then in others it's just kind of like, I don't know, let's just see what happens. I'm having fun. And I'm wondering, again, like to make him in the future like a little bit more calculated and a little bit more, because that's another thing I like, is that like he has grown up and he's very handsome now. So he's definitely, there's going to be people thirsting after someone like that, as evinced by what's going on Instagram right now. But and that's the only platform I've been checking. So who knows what the TikToks and the X and everything
on Twitter. What's the actor's name?
Oh, the actor. Here, I can look it up for you right now. Levi Miller playing Luke. Yeah. No, he looks to me. I saw an interview because he's promoting like a movie he just shot that he looks like, like full-fledged like young adult in.
This picture is just in 2015.
Okay. It was like a world. He's promoting like a World War I flick that he plays a soldier in, I guess. And I saw his interview, and his voice is very deep now. That was another thing that, oh my God, totally hooked me because they caught him at like that magic moment where his voice was changing. So every now and then his voice would creak.
Yeah.
And I think the first time I noticed it was when Luke and Ashley are first alone after his parents have left. He's just kind of like, and I'm still on his side, and he's like, "So what do you want to do? A movie?"
No, there's many points where he has that sort of that crackage. I think
Yeah,
it's never more noticeable than like after he is when he's screaming at the corpse of Garrett.
Yeah. You like that? When I love when he's like leaning over her and like stroking like her chin or whatever, and she starts to seem to respond, and he's like, "You like that?" And she's just kind of like, mm-hmm. And then he starts to drop his guard, and she just fucking kicks him in the balls. I'm like, yes, grab every moment you can, Ashley. I adore you. But now he's got, if you watch any YouTube interviews with him, like there was one I saw that was posted like 4 months ago, really recent. Yeah. He's got this voice now. And he looks like kind of like like a woodland prince is the vibe I get from like the imagery that I see him like now. So it's no doubt that like people would be like, standing him and falling for him and, wanting to ship him and whatever other language
sounds
the kids
like
use
you
these
do.
days. But no, I mean, he's an attractive kid, but he
looks like he's got a whole thing. He's just like shirtless and playing guitar on his couch.
See?
That's his thing. He's got longer curly hair now.
Yeah. Which I don't dislike it, but I can see there's like a perfect setup for him to just kind of like be able to take things in stride and like take things like that and really, because the little boy energy that he had was so incel, and now like pre-incel, although very incel, and just kind of like, I believe the things I read in Maxim, and these are the rules, and this is the way you do it, and this is how you get the girl, and if she doesn't respond, then she's a bitch, kind of.
Is
thing.
Maxim still a thing?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not the target audience, so I would be the last person to know. I don't think magazines are much a thing anymore, really.
Well, maybe it's like Maxim Online.
Yeah, right. Yeah, probably. It's a movie's almost a decade old now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I remember Maxim from like the late '90s, like early 2000s. I just went to Maxim.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is the website, because it's like the first thing that showed up was a motorcycle. Which, I mean, maybe. Maybe they changed their brand in lingerie too. So maybe that is
and gauchos.
Not pregnant, but
stretched over a car. Yeah, something. But no. So I mean, there's a definite like direction it could take where he could be like kind of emboldened by what he's done and even be celebrated for it, and where she's the one to take him down, and boy is she ever the one to do it, because I like that from the beginning, even before she knew how fucked up he was, when she just knew that they were basically quote unquote playing a prank, to try and get her to fall all over him or whatever, to hold him. I like that she's telling him to his face, "You need therapy." But there were other moments too, though.
He's like, "I'm gonna go." It's just like, you stay right the fuck there.
Barrett breaks my heart, because I feel like
Garrett
is
it Barrett or is it Garrett?
Oh, Garrett. I'm sorry. See, I'm so tired. Garrett. I'm losing my mind. It's a windy day. I am so tired. Garrett breaks my heart because he is such a sheep, and he keeps saying like he's my best friend, like that means something, and also because he's just as young as this other kid is, so he's just as confused. He's just trying to sort his shit out and, make sense out of like something that he thought was just going to be fun. And then even rides the wave balancing, like trying to figure out like, okay, I guess it's okay now. Wait, this is not okay. Okay, well, I guess I better go along. And becomes probably one of the most terrifying kind of villains or heavies in a script that I experienced, which is the like kind of like apologetic person who's going to go through with it anyway. You know what I mean? Like apologizing to you as they're tying you up, and also hoping that you'll have some modicum of sympathy for them as they're doing it, because they're in a tight spot too. This isn't what anybody wanted. It wasn't supposed to go this far. And there's almost like a sliver, there's like a creak of light when he starts turning his back on it, and then he's immediately taken out. Which I don't know. Did he deserve it? I don't know. I don't know if he deserved to die. He deserved to certainly pay, his debt to society.
Yeah. We'll find out. Anyway, yeah. Is there anything else to cover with this one? Because I think I'm out of gas.
Jeremy also deserves to die not because of anything else he did other
You're
than
jumping ahead.
No, I'm just talking about all the people. Because he kicked a cat. I was just kind of like, okay, I didn't like you before,
cat?
but now.
I thought he just sort of like.
Yeah, he was just kind of like, hey, and there was like a.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember the kick. I just remember like the stumbling, but it was it the same cat that like ran in front of the car at the beginning. I think that cat was just terrorizing everyone. Maybe the cat should be nominated.
If the cat got a little more involved in the house, then yeah.
If it was like their
defender.
cat, the Lerner's cat.
I would have liked that, but yeah, no.
I felt the most bad for paint can guy.
Oh, for Rick, or Ricky. I mean, again, there was one moment where he was upstairs, like, he did push his way into the house. If she weren't under duress and he just pushed his way into the house when the kid's telling him not to go in, that's kind of a dickish move, but I was glad that he was being a dick at that moment for obvious reasons. And then later when he was upstairs, when he found out that she had cramps and diarrhea, but he goes upstairs saying like, I don't care what you have, but don't you have like some tampons or something? And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. I mean, it's not a killable offense. I actually thought he was pretty cool. I liked his moment for me was when he told her kind of like, in case these are my last words. And he just said to her like, I get it. You're an important person. You got big dreams and, you should leave and go to college and, be who you want to be. I think I see that now. And I was like, okay. And I like the way she's watching it. Not like she's moved. She's just kind of like, it took all this for you to finally say that to me. You prick. Now, an apology.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to the cherry picker.
It's not like we killed people. On purpose.
Okay, cherry on top. I think I already know your suggestion.
Ashley. Who's your cherry on top?
I don't know if I really have one. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because, yeah, sure.
You couldn't get on board with Ashley?
Not that I couldn't get on board, but just like there wasn't like, I wanted more. I wanted more of a fight rather than just like, I understand her predicament is what it is. And she's, more just like psychologically can try to fight back. But I don't know. I feel like maybe the movie could have, I think it's a good length. Like it's just under 90 minutes. But I think some of that time, because I don't think like there needed to be more scenes, but some of that time in there might have benefited from having more pushback, more of a urgency to escape the situation. Like, like we look at like our Sally Hardesties who just, in spite of how awful the situation is, it's just like, I'm just gonna like get the fuck out of here. Against all the odds. Yeah, just like I'm just gonna yeet myself through this window. Whatever I have to do. Like I just needed a little bit more of that. Just some gusto there that I felt like she was lacking as a final girl. But I'm cool with it's just the cherry on top. It's a very arbitrary it's a very arbitrary part of the podcast.
Okay, but it's important that you chimed in with your perspective on that. Okay.
All right. Well, last week we asked you who deserves to die the most in Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. We had 3 nominations because Jason was in attendance. So I nominated the character of Vic Faden. Every character in Friday the 13th has a last name. If you look it up, you nominated Joey Burns, which apparently is his last name online, which I think is hilarious. And then Jason nominated Roy Burns. And the reason I think that's funny is because, like, clearly this kid was abandoned, but they just always had his name and never knew that Roy was the father.
Burns is a common last name.
Montgomery, yeah.
If it was Ystromsky, then maybe it would have raised a little bit more of an eyebrow. But yeah,
like we gotta head over to the old Pinehurst place. The Ystromsky kid got axed up with an axe. Axed up with an axe. No relation to you, Roy. And
Roy Ystromsky.
Anyway. Across Patreon, Instagram, and YouTube, and I posted this like very, very late in the game, so not as many votes as there could have been. I'm sure that there's probably more now, but we got 160 for Vic, 193 for Joey, and 72 for Roy. So congratulations, you finally got to get rid of what is she called, like that chopped up that piggy over at that
I just wanted to know what people would do, because he was the first one I thought of when I thought about the cherry picker. I was like, it's usually good to go with my gut. I don't always do it, but in this case, especially because I went last, I was just kind of like, well, now I just want to see what happens if I choose the first one who I thought was the most annoying.
You lucked out. So this is what people are saying. Welshman, I 100% support Vic offing Joey. If I had been there, if not Vic, then I most likely would have done it myself. I get he's supposed to be mentally ill, but they do such a piss poor job conveying it. He just comes across as insufferable. The Tar Man. I was going to vote for Vic, but then I remembered Roy managed to kill everyone except the man who directly murdered his son, on top of keeping said son in an environment like that, despite clearly being around and likely capable of caring for him directly. There's a special kind of absurdity to an absent father being spurred to murder more than a dozen people out of revenge, meanwhile not killing the man who actually killed his estranged son. I'm glad Roy's dead, and I hope he's twerking for Satan right now.
You know what I just thought? This real quick. Just made me think about one more layer they could have built in, even if they kept it, because we talked about all these alternate paths they could have taken with the sequel. Even if they kept all the Roy of it all and everything like that, all that would have helped to kind of like boost it for me is like, what if Roy couldn't care for Joey because he was mentally deemed unfit to raise a child, so his child was taken from him? That would have put the Pamela Voorhees kind of like under it, like unjustly separated from my child, and that's why I killed them all kind of thing. Even that would have made more sense to me than what we got. So just wanted to put that out there.
Maybe. Thomas Baker, my vote goes to Roy on this one. It's his own fault that his son is dead, and so he decided to go on a killing spree instead of suing the place. Lexi, I can never say this right. Lexi.
Okay.
No, I'll try. Lexi Smashinsky. I vote Joey, but only for similar reasons to Shelley Part 3. He was just made to be annoyed by and want to die.
See, there you go.
James Morant. Vic, he was such an asshole. Straight into the point, yeah. Kieran Lee Hamilton. I wish I felt bad for Joey, but if I'm being honest with myself, I know if I was their knee-jerk reaction after Vic axed him would have been a sigh of relief. Spidey fan, ignoring what Joey's actor allegedly did, I'm voting for Vic, though all three deserve it. I need more context.
Yeah. Wow.
There's like a thread here. What did the actor do? Como allegedly sexual abuse to Corey Haim.
Oh.
Sexual abuse to Corey Haim. Haim said he was okay. This is dark.
Okay.
I don't know. Go look it up.
All right.
Interesting. I didn't know that actor.
Yeah. I didn't. Yeah.
Sean Prinsick. I remember being absolutely shocked when Joey died so early on. He gave me PTSD flashbacks to Shelley, and all I could think was, oh no, I'm going to have to put up with this performance. It was an instant highlight that changed my thoughts on the film, which up to that point were not very positive. I've since softened on the film and come to appreciate John Shepard's performance as Tommy. I also respect that this film had a more diverse group of final girl boys. Most final girls are young teenagers, and final boys are usually young white guys. Having a 30 to 40-year-old final girl and a 10 to 15-year-old black final boy is a great step in the right direction. It's nice to have more diversity in slasher films, of course. I always have to admit Vic should have been the only victim. Victim. Why kill all those people who had nothing to do with the murder and allow the actual killer to get off scot-free? Where's Jason when you need him? How old was what?
Oh, was he supposed to be?
Why can't I remember her name? Pam. Pam. I wanted to say Pam, but I'm like Pamela Voorhees. No, Pam.
It was her first movie, so I don't know how old she was. Let me look it up real quick. Read something else.
Okay. David Garrido. I'm going to choose Vic since him killing Joey sets up Roy's killing spree. Jazzy Boo. If Joey had just walked away, he would have been fine. Instead, he just kept annoying the man with the anger issues and an axe. Blue Box. Roy put more effort into pretending to be Jason than being Joey's father, but Joey was super annoying, so he gets my vote.
Okay, in answer to your question, Melanie Kinnaman, who played Pam, was born December 18th. Happy birthday. 1953. And the movie was released in 1985, so that's a little over 3 decades. So she was in her early 30s when she made the movie.
Right, makes sense. I just thought maybe she was like in her 20s, like just like
I
made
did
to look
too.
older.
She looks young, so good for her.
Melanie Kinnaman.
Kinnaman.
I love that it rhymes with cinnamon.
Me
cinnamon.
Too. She probably heard that in the schoolyard all the time. Poor thing.
Hey, Melanie Cinnamon. Yeah, that would have been
not exactly an insult.
No, it's just been like what of it? Cinnamon's delightful.
Yeah, what of it? Unless she's allergic, like that.
Kinnaman cinnamon. Yeah, maybe then it's bad. Well, she was great. Put that aside. Rob Rangel, the fact that Vic wasn't killed by Roy is still crazy to me. Silent Saturn, Roy's a terrible father and failed to unalive Vic, the one person who deserved it the most. But I guess just like his son, he probably has mental health issues. Pretty much everyone in that town was terrible anyway, so no great loss there. Joey was annoying, but he can't help it. Also, he was leaving Vic be. He was walking away and Vic attacked him from behind, so I don't get all the victim blaming. Vic just seems to be a prick for no reason, so he gets my vote. I personally would have picked Pam, though, for not only being all around useless, but also giving the most stereotypical running away from killer scene in the history of horror. Seriously, when you fall and the killer is still a mile away, just get up and keep running. And don't lose your sweater. And then find it again.
And then get it back. And then lose it again.
That screwed prude. The mentally challenged person deserves it the most. Is that a question? Because it's followed by 3 eye roll emojis. So this is where punctuation is important. Screwed prude. My chunky Geordie. Joey started all this crap by annoying Vic, so he deserves to go. However, if I could vote, all I would. Joey was the first that came to mind. He reminds me of Franklin. Ooh, Franklin Hardesty.
Yeah. Huh. Wasn't there a mention of that? Or maybe that was another annoying character.
I.B. Trav, the artist, who you can check out on Instagram. I love his stuff. He does these polls. He does these little cartoon drawings of characters, and there was one where he did I think it was like Tina from Halloween 5, Jen from Halloween Resurrection, and then Franklin from TCM, and Joey from Friday 5. the movie that we're talking about at the moment, and it was like
Okay.
the question was which character was the most annoying.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. That's a whole.
I feel like it would probably I would maybe Jen. It would be Jen or Joey because I like Tina's great. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to that movie.
Yeah, we will.
Franklin is like, he clearly had a lot of issues, and he was annoying, but it just there's
I still feel bad for him.
You feel bad for
Yeah.
him. Joey was very like he, like you said, like he provoked the situation with Vic. Like he's like there's a hostility to him. Like, well, if that's the way with the chocolate running down his teeth, like if that's the way you feel about it, forget it, Vic. Just forget. Yeah, like that.
When you try to help someone and you fuck them over, you don't start bawling them out and blaming them for not being more grateful that you fucked them over. No matter how minuscule like the scale of what's happening is, like don't. I do well with big life changing kind of things, or I don't know about well, but I do better with them. It's the minute little things that don't need to happen where I just go, why is this happening right now? There's no reason. There's not, like, we all live, we all die, we all get injured, we all do, but then there are things like chocolate on clean laundry. Why did this need to happen?
Well,
like those are the
Virgo
ones that make me
in
fall
you.
apart. That's the Virgo in me.
I couldn't speak to Jen at the moment, other than like I hate the movie that she's in, so that might be more of a knock against the movie. I'd have to
palatable in that movie.
I'd have to watch it again, and I really don't want to, so I don't know.
I don't want.
So
not
Joey
today.
might be my pick for this. Such a random poll too, but
right.
Yeah, go check out his Instagram, IBTRAV. I'm sure you've seen his work.
Super.
Yeah,
cool.
It's all like the Scooby-Doo style things as well. Where are we? Dan's Gaming. I choose Vic because, come on, funny story. When the game came out and the Pinehurst map was released, 2 people recreated the kitchen scene word for word, and they were so annoying. The person playing Jason showed up and killed them. It was really funny to be a part of that moment, and unfortunately the game is no longer playable. That's depressing that the game is now. I mean, you could probably still do the offline stuff. Yeah.
Dark web.
No, like you just like if you have the game, you just like play it and you're playing like AI bots.
One would hope.
Yeah. I mean, I played it as recent as maybe like 3 months ago, so at least you could play offline then. But I know that like the online stuff has been shut down for a bit. Matthias Eggerman, Roy didn't kill the one who killed his son. That's not revenge. I always thought about Roy being a serial killer before his son died. He probably liked it much. Alex is lame. I was leaning towards voting for Vic until I heard Eddie's reasoning and switched my vote because of how hard I laughed. A literal axe murder? That's fine. Chocolate on the white sheets? Death! Sorry, Zack. Us Virgos have to stick together. Oh, there you go.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you.
Deaded Gamers. I love Joey. He's such a silly guy, and I can't believe they killed him. And Dylan Jameson, Vic easily. He should have been the first to go after axing Joey in the back, thus setting off the entire events of the film. While Joey was annoying, he was leaving Vic and walking away when he was attacked from behind and is already dead. And Roy's performance I find unintentionally funny with some of his line delivery, so I can't kill him. Also, I'm killing Vic because he hates chocolate. Like, seriously, who hates chocolate? It's a very good point.
Some people. Yeah. There are some people.
This was a very mixed bag, obviously, like a lot of votes going all over the place, as should be expected with a 3-way vote. But anyway, I turn it over to you. Better watch out. Who deserves to die the most, Edward?
Is there any doubt? It's Luke. I mean, yes, the young man is sick. He needs help, but I was so ready for her to kill the fuck out of him so many times during this movie. There were things that he'd do, things he would say, that he just kind of like insist upon her, and the bravado was it was just like, I always go with, you're the one that's what's wrong with the world. And it's never been more true than it has with this character. He's literally everything that's wrong with the world. And if we get into the sequel, he's probably going to continue to be. He's going to capitalize on it. So if he would have been killed right away. Oh, I wondered when she held the gun to him and he was like, "You're not going to shoot me." And she even moved it up to give him like a warning shot, I guess. And then she realized the chamber was empty.
Yeah.
I was like, throw the gun at his face, charge at him, pull his arms back, and like break him. Like do so. I would be so consumed with rage that like I would have gone like full Sam Carpenter on him. Like, bets are off, fucker. You fuck with me. If I let you live, you're just gonna find another way to do this to me again. So fuck, or to somebody else, even worse. Fuck you. So kill the fucker. That's what I say.
Yeah.
So that's who I say. How about you, Zach?
I'm gonna go for Garrett. Because he's just sort of there. He's a willing participant. He's going along with it, and he had all the time in the world to do what he did, and he probably could have done more if he had not waited until so late to do it and been so meek and like just timid about the whole thing. And then like in the process of like what was his motivation at the end, like untying her and then like to kind of steal that kiss on her cheek or whatever it was he did. Ugh. He could have saved poor Ricky. You know, it's just like he could have stopped that shit. He could have shut it down. Yeah. And didn't. Yeah. And I mean he was doing the whole thing. He was like going around the house with the gun, whether it was like what was like a paint gun or whatever. It's still he was creating the situation. He was helping the guy out. And I mean, I don't know. He was annoying to Virginia Madsen, so that's also offendable. So.
She knew he was. It's interesting. She thought he was the bad influence on her son. Like again, she was so hoodwinked by it, as much as I was.
Yeah, you know, like we could blame the parents in this case, and normally I would, but just because it's Patrick Warburton and Virginia Madsen, that ain't happening.
I mean, they were the reason I knew I was in the movie when they had their exchange where she says, "You sure you've never sucked another man's cock?" Yeah. When he's holding his little ruby slippers, ornaments that she took off the tree, and he says the line I opened with, "I'm allowed to like gay things." And I was like,
he called it metrosexual, and she's like, "It's
metro, not." And she's like, "Oh, it's metrosexual." Is it? They are so good. Yeah. God, I hope they come back. If there's a sequel, I want them back.
Or just them in like 100%. Another movie that showcases their talent more.
Oh, that would be great. But in any movie, I'll see either of them in.
Or just any movie, where's the Seinfeld reunion and just have Virginia Madsen play a character. She can be the new Mrs. David Putty.
Yeah,
because he didn't wait for Elaine when she went to jail.
Yeah, or she could finally get justice in her own Candyman sequel, where she's like the urban myth killer. And she could kill him.
They did just announce that there's like a new Candyman project in the making, which I'm just kind of salty about because it's like, I mean, Tony Todd just passed away. And we should cover more of the Candyman movies because we haven't covered the 2021 movie, which I actually I really like. I think that there's issues I have with it, and one of them is the kind of lack of Tony Todd. But yeah, I mean, if they're making another one, she's got to be in it. They gotta get her back, and Stacy too. Malibu State, your favorite. Come on,
she'll just
you can
be
help
there
me
like,
with the salad.
She'll still be shivering from the shock, the discovery, and just be like, just smoking, just chain smoking,
Yeah.
and just talking about the whole ordeal.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
And then Patrick Warburton can be like the one Virginia Madsen's pursuing, and his name can be Kevin, and she can go, Kevin, Kevin.
Why Kevin?
Yeah, I'd live for that. Because it sounds like Helen.
Okay.
Helen.
Or it could be
That's
like
fine.
Kellen.
Kellen. Okay, there you go. There you go. You threaded the needle.
Anyway.
That's what I needed.
So there's your nominations. You can vote for Luke Lerner or Garrett. I don't know if there was a last name provided. I'm checking. It just says Garrett. It doesn't even say Luke Lerner, but apparently it's like the parents' names.
Yeah, they don't know.
They're credited as Robert Lerner and Deandra Lerner.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, those are your choices. You can vote your heart, vote your conscience. Head over to my Patreon where you can get a free extra vote, regardless if you're subscribing or not. But please do subscribe because it really helps out the podcast, and we appreciate everything you do for us. Head over to Instagram. You can vote there too, and follow us at the Cherry Picker Pod. And if you're here on YouTube or listening on whatever podcast streaming platform you are using, I always trip up there. Subscribe to us on YouTube. The poll shows up in the community section every week. And if you're watching us, just the RSS feed link is in the descriptions down below if it's easier to consume this audibly. Social media, Edward, where can they catch you?
You can find Edward is Truth, traditional spelling, one word, in Instagram, YouTube, TikTok still, because there's that one Faye Dunaway video has thousands and thousands of hits.
You put up
so I
a
ain't
Faye
deleting
Dunaway video?
it. When she comes in and does the masterclass commercial where you get to see her going like, what are you doing?
Are you reacting
What's going on?
to it?
I'm not ready. No, it's just the video.
Oh, okay.
It's just her. But so anyway, it did really, really well because I just wanted it to be on the thing and see if people would see it.
But isn't
and
like TikTok
thousands and
more
thousands of
to
people
like
have.
react to stuff like that?
Sure, but wasn't in the mood.
Well, then
so-
you're not doing it right.
I'm not on there. I just wanted to put something other. Anyway, okay, I'm telling people where to find me. Jesus Christ. Gotta make a case every step
I
of the
know.
way.
Yeah.
I'm also on Blue Sky and did I say YouTube? All those things. And the links are below. Just look for me there. How about you, Zack?
You can find me on my main YouTube channel, Zack Cherry, ZackCherry. Instagram, Retro Bitch Face, all one word. Twitter, ZackCherry8. Letterboxd, Zack Cherry. I think that's it. Next week, we obviously got the Cherry Picker After Dark, the Battle of the Black Christmas remakes. And then we're taking a break after that for a week. So we will return on January 7th with something new for you. So see you next week for the Cherry Picker After Dark. And until then, thank you for watching, listening, and we will be right